Two questions about Moble VHF-UHF. Is it true that using a 5/8 wave antenna is better than a quarter wave, and must you use low-loss coax cable in your installation? Otherwise, you'll lose much of your signal. We're going to examine both issues in this video to see if any myths are involved. First, the 5/8 wave antenna. Now, that antenna obviously is taller than a quarter wave. Now, is it worth the extra length and possible extra expense to purchase? Well, Tom Roush, W8JI, a well-known ham who's also an electrical engineer, has examined this issue using antenna modeling software. Now, his basic conclusions are this. Now, this involves a 5/8 wave vertical mounted on a car roof. So this is Tom's website here on this issue. And note this down here in the bottom. In the real world, the actual gain difference between a quarter wave and a 5/8 wave can be anywhere from no gain or a very slight loss up to a maximum of 2 dB gain over a quarter wave. Now, ordinarily, we hear that a 5/8 wave has 3 dB gain, but Tom only finds 2 dB. He goes on to say the 5/8 wave is never really worse, explaining why people have no problem using them. This is true for any repeater antenna height. Here's what the ARRL antenna book says about the 5/8 wave Moble antenna. With a 5/8 wave antenna, more of the transmitted signals directed at a low wave angle toward the horizon, offering a gain of about 3 dB over the quarter wave vertical. However, in areas where the repeater is located nearby or on a very high hill or mountaintop, the quarter wave antenna will usually offer more reliable performance than a 5/8 wave antenna. This is because there is more power in the lobe of the quarter wave vertical at higher angles. Now, I'm personally going with W8JI on this one because I think he's smarter than anyone at the ARRL. Also, I think his conclusions fit in well with what many hams who have used both Moble antennas say based on their personal experience. Some hams say the quarter wave vertical works better. Some say the 5/8 wave works better. Others say they're about the same. And what if you are actually getting 2 dB gain over a quarter wave? 1 S unit is 6 dB, so that's a gain of only 1/3 of 1 S unit. Not exactly a make or break signal increase. Now, I posted the link to Tom's observations in the explanation for this video. He covers other questions concerning the 5/8 wave antenna, like is it really more effective as a base station antenna? Now, coax. Anything wrong with using a high-quality, low-loss coax cable in your Moble VHF-UHF installation? No, of course not. It's going to be kind of hard to work with in a car or truck since it's not very flexible, about a 1/2 inch thick. LMR 400 is one example of a high-quality, double-shielded, low-loss coax. But what if you use something a lot cheaper and a lot thinner and more flexible with your VHF-UHF Moble rig? Would it really make much difference? Well, let's see. Okay, here's a online coax calculator that I like to use. So let's put in LMR 400. Line length, let's make it 15 feet. I mean, it's probably not going to be that long. And for our frequency, we're going to put in 144 megahertz, the 2 meter band. Let's give it a little SWR. Let's say it's 1.8. to 1. Now let's say typical Moble rig puts out about 50 watts. So let's calculate. So we have a total loss of only 0.26 dB. I mean, that is nothing. So that's really excellent. Now, let's try a much cheaper, higher loss coax cable. How about RG58? That's typically used in Moble rigs. 2 meters. Everything else is the same here except the coax. Calculate. Now the total loss is 0.8 dB. We'll say 1 dB. Now keep in mind that an S unit is 6 dB. This is a loss of 1 dB. That is insignificant. Well, let's go up to a higher frequency. 70 centimeters, 440 megahertz. Everything's the same. Calculate. All right, now we're up to a 1.5 dB. Once again, an S unit 6 dB. This is 1.5 dB. That's only a fraction of an S unit. Now, there are many types of smaller coax cable like RG58. You can use whatever you like. Now, the point is, there's no reason I can think of to use a fat, low-loss coax cable in a Moble installation, even for VHF-UHF. The feed line is so short, the loss is insignificant. Now, SWR increases feed line loss, but you should be able to get a low SWR with a VHF-UHF whip antenna if installed and adjusted correctly. So, in conclusion, I think we can safely say that using low-loss coax in a Moble VHF-UHF installation is a must, is a myth. The additional loss in higher loss cables is not enough to merit spending the additional money for low-loss cable, which is going to be much more difficult or even impossible to install. Now, as for the 5/8 wave vertical versus a quarter wave, it may or may not be a myth that the 5/8 wave is a better antenna. Maybe yes, maybe no, depending on your circumstances. And I suspect some advertising hype may be involved here by sellers of 5/8 wave antennas. Consider subscribing to this channel in 73.